Hello. Well, I am having one of those days, right? We all do. But today, in particular, I had to pray for patience, and extreme patience. I have to be in contact with a certain individual, and like I had said before, we do just here on earth have people that we prefer to stay away from, but when we cannot stay away from them and they're kind of forced in our environment and we have to deal with them, that's when we're like, okay, God help me out. What do? I can't handle this by myself. This person is frustrating me. right Okay, so specifically this morning, coming across this individual, I found that they tend to just focus on the negative, which I have a lot of that around me anyway, as far as just through my whole life. It's easy to do. I'm not perfect. I've done that myself. So I get it. No one's perfect. But, I'm sharing this because I want y'all to know how real I am and how, and in no way am I, I'm not mentioning the person's name, but I definitely feel like people can relate to this. So I'm going to share this. This particular individual, that's fine. That's terrible. All the different things that's happened in this person's life, especially recently and all at once, right? Well, in those situations, typically that's when you can get on your knees and pray to God, please help me. But this specific individual, they're not taking that chance or opportunity to do that. So instead they just talk to people about their problems, which is fine. That's what a lot of people do. But they also are doing that so they can get the sympathy card, which I am definitely not a bad person to where I'm not going to, I feel bad for everything they've been through. Like, I've been through stuff. Everyone's been through something, right? So, other than that, I felt like this morning as I left to go and do a couple things for my boss that I needed to kind of express how all I can do in this situation. This is definitely a test for me, for sure, a complete test, because I could easily have snapped at this person not because of what they said about all this terrible stuff happening in their life. I told them, I'm just so sorry, that's terrible. What else can I really say? I've just been praying for him to see the situation that, all we can do is pray. All we can do is just look up to him. And yeah, it takes a lot more than just words to get to people. So I pray myself for him. I am. But then they go on to saying things about how in this life, they would just rather not do any type of work. They'd rather just be lazy, and they'd rather just piggyback on other people. And those types of people, that's my pet peeve, because I feel like my whole life I've just had that. I'm fortunate enough to have a father figure that has been the hardest working person I've ever met. Like, he puts himself last in every way, and that is it's not necessarily a great thing to do that, but it's definitely amazing as an example, as far as just showing that he cares so much about his family and he wants to work hard for his family, and that's what you need. Well, and again, this person may not have had a dad like that, and so I have to think about that, and God's placed those thoughts in my head as well, to be like, hey, not everyone is like you, not everyone is like your father, not everyone has the same work ethic. You got to be understanding. So that's what I'm doing, right? That's what you have to do. I just am showing right now that I'm not in any way perfect. I'm not in any way saying I'm perfect, and that's just what I'm saying. Like, I'm struggling in this moment to not be snappy with the person who continues to complain to me, and this individual is someone I can't, like I said, avoid. So it's kind of just like, all I can do is repeat what I've been saying over and over again and pray in my mind, just keep praying and be the example God wants me to be, and I have said to him, this is something that, we have no control over. I'm so sorry, and I show sympathy, and in turn, I think it's definitely helping. But my main thing is just to express that I'm sure everyone has had those times in their lives where they've come across people that can kind of just irk them the wrong way. And to me, that is just simply someone that has no interest in contributing, and not just to themselves, but to their families, not even society, just to their families. To me, it's like when you have a family that is completely number one, right? And again, even if that's just the way my father has raised me, that's also just honestly the best way that's how we need to be. We need to provide for our family. We don't need to be relying on anything else but God and the hard-working hands he's given us. If you have 2 hands and 2 legs and feet, some people just don't see it like that, right? And I have to remind myself of that. But if we do have all these things, we need to be act like we're working for God and not for man. And that's the main thing I feel like I need to just express to him. I really do, especially in these situations where he just repeats himself, or he's not getting it. You know what I mean? He's kind of just stuck in that lifestyle circle of woe is me, nothing goes right for me, I just want to quit on life, I just want to quit, I don't really care to provide for anyone, I want to just be comfortable. That kind of mentality, looking out just for yourself type mentality, that's what I definitely am praying for him. And that's all I can do, because I can't get mad at him for being who he is, right? I can't. And that's the thing we all need to remember, that when someone does get to us, obviously not everyone is going to fit into that category of what we should be doing as far as providing for families and having a better mentality on life. Not everyone does, and not everyone will ever, and that's the main thing. All we can do is pray, and that's what I have to remind myself of. So this is just kind of a video expressing that, I feel like everyone can be at least at one point in their life surrounded by this type of individual that, not necessarily that type, but someone that, again, just kind of like just pulls that string, pulls that nerve that, you really have to, it tests your patience, right? And that's what I'm praying for. So today is a day of reflection on me, especially because this is a test. Everything in this life is a test. I mean, we're here on earth, and what's the purpose of life? To help each other. And so again, prayer is the most powerful weapon. Let's use it, right? So yeah, we will just have to, I don't know about you guys, but with me in this situation, I will just have to allow these things to occur in this very moment, in these moments every day. I'm not going to let myself see this individual and then get annoyed or anticipate the same type of conversation. I'm going to pray that one day he comes to me and he says, you know what, I decided to seek counseling. I decided that my family's more important than my selfish desires. Just all these things. And in no way am I trying to judge them. It's more of an observance and more of a test. Again, a test for me to just shed, because you can't just word God and talk the words of, and explain God. You have to show that you're a Christian, and that's definitely what's going on right now for me. I had to, I think, be placed in this person's path, and he was placed in mine. So there were some boundaries tested. And, because life's not always just easy, and I'm not always going to be surrounded by the best people or the people that I particularly would love to be around. So in those situations, all we can do is just, pray for patience, pray for guidance, pray for them to understand in the ways that are pretty obvious and apparent. God changed them in the way that you need them to be changed. Because who am I to say this person's completely flawed? I'm flawed. I have sins. I'm not perfect. But the work ethic, I guess, has always just been a pet peeve of mine. And not even a job, but just providing help in the household, doing things to help your family, and seeing the reward of the looks on their faces and seeing that they're provided for and helping them. And I don't even have kids yet, and I feel like it's just a shame to see when parents don't consider their kids. And that's all we can pray for, is for their eyes to be opened. So sorry for this heavy hopefully in everyone's opinion not judgmental video today, but more so of a maybe a more real and raw video showing that, again, I'm not perfect. I get annoyed. These are my people that annoy me, or give me, that I'm trying not to be annoyed with, but just I'm at least reflecting on myself, saying, look, God, help me out, because I'm not able to handle being around this individual. And I think he has been. I feel like right now, doing this video alone, I didn't have to do this, and I feel like there's a lot of relatability to this conversation right now, this communication, because these people are never going to stop being born, sadly, as far as, not wanting to do anything in their lives, but those are the people that God uses to raise up and to show, hey, look what I have done, worship me, I've changed this individual. If I can change this individual, I can change anyone. Those are the types of things that come in my head, because I was definitely a stubborn, I could not take criticism, almost sometimes a very heartless person. And I'm sure there's so many people that have been annoyed by me, by the things I've said and done. So I'm not one to talk at all, but I am saying that in these moments we all go through, these are things we can do, just reflect, pray, ask for guidance, and just pray for that person, because we, again, we have no control. We are not in control. And the one thing that I have the biggest and hardest time with is control, which has also been a pet peeve for some people on me, or for me for sure. Like, I feel like people that have been around me can see I'm controlling, and I have gotten to the point where, reflection wise, I'm easing up on that, because I don't have the control. Everything in this life is already preordained, and it's already been planned out. And certain people are in our paths, as long as we're lining up with God, they're in our paths for a reason. So again, it may be that this prepares me in a way for my own children. My children are definitely not going to always be angels. No child is. So this man, I will just say he's a man baby in that way, to where I can relate him to a child in the way a child would act about things, tantrums, things like that. So maybe this is also, in God's sense of humor, is something I can't understand, and I know he has one, because we all do, and we're in his image. And if this is God's sense of humor by placing me around this man child because I'm not ever really surrounded by children, if this isn't a way for him to prepare me in my patience for children, then go ahead, God, bring it to me, bring it on. I got this. I will just call on you, because I feel the pull of my nerve happening, and then I'm like, okay, help me out, God. So hopefully this is something people can relate to, and something that as a group people can just reflect on and say, there's this individual in my life, and maybe if I would just stop anticipating them reacting this way or being this way, and I would start actually looking at them as God's child that just needs some help and prayer, we just have to pray for them, then maybe that'll help the outlook of the day that person might kind of ruin by being around you. And that's very harsh, but there are people, there are people like that. And if you don't have anybody like that in your life, then I respect you, and I love that for you, because you already have more patience than I ever have. But for the ones that don't have the best patience, hopefully you can relate. And then, just remember, prayer works more than anyone can imagine. There are days where I have doubt, not even doubt, but more of the prayer not working right when I need it to work, and that causes me a little doubt, and that's something I've had to work on. And in that scenario, I realized that it worked out later when it was definitely needed more, because like, again, God's path to success, GPS, God's got this whole path already figured out. So trust in him, because we don't know anything about our futures. Only God does. So trust in him, and trust in him for guidance and patience. All right. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you for liking and subscribing and commenting below. I love to see any type of comments or questions. All right. Have a good day. Bye, guys.